So people keep asking me how I mix specific instruments in my long form videos. Like, what's the process behind mixing electric guitars, acoustic guitars, vocals, whatever. I think this answer is a bit more constructive because the actual mixing process differs from track to track, but the system that I use in order to mix remains the same no matter what. It involves 3 different sort of vocab words: transparent processing, stylized or colored processing, you can say either one, and parallel processing. Transparent processing refers to any sort of mixing that doesn't aim to impart a specific character onto a sound. It's more about normalizing an audio signal. A good example of this would be your DAW's standard compressor and your DAW's standard EQ. The goal in this process is to just chop out ugly room sounds or resonances that don't sound very complementary and just make the signal a bit more clean and audible. Stylized processing imparts a character onto a sound. A compressor in this style will often impart harmonic information that wasn't there before you put that plugin on. Maybe it gives like a slight distortion to give an analog vibe. You might think of like an LA2A or an 1176, or even more clearly, a tape emulator. Parallel processing refers to adding any sort of signal under your original signal. If you're distorting and heavily compressing a signal and then blending it in under your original, that's parallel processing. Now this could either be transparent or stylized mixing depending on the process that you're imparting onto the original signal. And in my sort of way of working, generally my original audio tracks will have the more transparent processing, your stock EQs, your stock compressors. Then whenever we get to the group bus, like a drum group or a guitar group or a vocal group, that's when I do colored processing. Oftentimes for a vocal, it might be an LA2A or an 1176. I'll use Goodhertz Tube or Goodhertz Wow Control on the entire group, maybe a Pultec emulation as well. And then whenever I need to add some sort of processing that's just a bit too extreme to put on the entire group, maybe a crazy distortion or just a really blown out compressed drum signal, that will go in a parallel send, and then using the volume fader, I'll blend that in to taste. This is how I could add, for example, vocal presence. Maybe I'll use something like Fresh Air to make a kind of a harsh, very bright vocal, and then blend that in at a lower volume to the original vocal. It adds the presence, but it isn't too overpowering. The reason I like this method of working is it compartmentalizes where I spend my time. It avoids putting 5 different compressors and 3 different EQs on one audio track, and you completely forget what each one did. If you need to purely adjust volume dynamics, well, that's probably going to be the transparent processing on the actual audio track. If you need to fatten a drum sound and make it sound super vintagey and nice, that's probably the group track. Have a system to keep your brain straight. Better yet, have a template. Not only will you start to understand what you like and don't like and become a much better mixer, but you'll be a much faster mixer. You won't feel like every time you open a mix, you're starting from square one. All right, that is a very long short. I hope that helped.